Welcome to episode 1 of Intellectual Nonsense. I'm Bushy and that's Zinger. And for the last 5 minutes, he hasn't heard a word I said. I've texted him to try to get on here, but technologically illiterate and not very intellectual, but a lot of nonsense
Can you
here.
hear me?
So, oh, hey, there he is. I've been
Can
talking
you
for
hear me?
5 minutes. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
If you can hear me, shake your head. I can't
Mm-hmm.
hear you.
All right. Well, you're
I'm
going to
on
need
this
to.
computer. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. You hear me now?
I heard you for a split second.
Oh, yeah. I'll keep talking for you, baby. I'll
Right
keep
now, I hear you.
talking. I'll keep talking the whole time. I was just basically telling all the listeners, I said, welcome to episode 1. And I've been talking to you for about 5 minutes. And you haven't checked your phone. So, yeah, I've just been sitting here staring at myself and you looking like you were maybe just doing work. So,
Well, I was trying to pair my headphones. Is what was going on there.
that took a while. Intellectual Nonsense. Welcome, everybody, to episode 1 of Intellectual Nonsense. I'm Bushy, that's Zinger. Fun fact about Zinger is he has had a hole-in-one in golf, and it was the worst shot of his life, and no one cared. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for
You
having
like
us,
that, did you?
as usual.
That's actually
Episode 1, that was a
factual.
good one. That was a good start. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
factual. In fact, to back up on that, I was the only one not to see it. I thought I hit a bad shot, looked away, it drew right at the hole, 3 bounces. So I've
Yeah.
been told.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it would go, right? So this is
Bonus with me being able to get a hole in one is I can at least hit a golf ball. So you got to remember that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can hit a golf ball, just not well. It depends who you ask. So this is something we're trying. I mean, intellectual nonsense. I think we just kind of came up with that. Maybe a little bit of AI was involved, but I think it probably describes us pretty well. Because I mean, most of the shit we talk about is just stupid, but sometimes smart. I guess I don't know.
I feel like we're not the dumbest people on the planet. Definitely not the smartest. But we have a vast amount of knowledge about a lot of topics, as maybe our listeners or one listener, if we get one, will enjoy.
I've said to a lot of people that I have knowledge on dumb things that no one cares about. For example, I can just quote you The Office and give you any situation, any day, something like who cares? Like, is that smart? I guess I can recall this whole thing, but then you talk to me about politics and I'm a clown. I don't know. And that's why I have you. And I'm assuming we'll
Yes,
get
and I
into
can
some of that.
barely recite. I can barely recite a TV show I just watched.
I could
But
see that.
I have a vast, I shouldn't say vast, but political degree from a very, very forward-thinking university at the University of Windsor,
Okay.
which tells me that I should know more than I do. But I studied a few times for it, so I know a little bit.
And I think that's why we're kind of doing this. We play off each other, I guess, pretty good. And I mean, just background, I guess. Like we've been buddies for like I don't even remember honestly how this. It was probably just hockey, right? I think it was
I gotta
just
think
playing
so.
intramurals, and I think it
We
was
could
just
probably back up a step. I think your dad used to bring you to my games to watch me play. And then it was
listen.
a natural transition where you needed a player, and I gladly joined the team to help.
I'm just gonna say that is factually false. That did not happen. And I just want to tell everybody that I did not watch him play. I've probably seen him play before because actually, one thing we do have in common is we are both OMHA champions. So like that's something where we definitely have common ground with that. Tecumseh Eagles legend Dane Hollick, Kitchener Rangers legend Dane Hollick. Even we can say that, right? Had a cup of tea there.
Ugh, I don't know if we can say that.
I
You and
just
I might be the only people that know this.
pull up your hockey DB. Do you have one?
Nope, nope.
Does
I
it have
am a
BVHL
0
team
on
white
Hockey
on it?
DB. That's all that
No,
matters in my mind.
like I said, I was trying to think of this. Like I think it was probably from intramurals. Like I knew who you were. I've been here mom and dad's house when I used to time keep to like pick up the checks.
That's
So I've
right.
been there, met Debbie, and like I knew who your dad was because he was always involved in like Tecumseh, right? Like with hockey.
Yeah.
And then you were always reffing, so I knew who you were. Um, and like everyone said you were a prick. I didn't believe them, but I mean they were right. So,
Here we
and
are.
then I think mostly it was just intramurals because that's where I think it was the group of buddies that we were with. Because like I went to school with Sven, and he was on my team, and then John was there, and then you were buddies with him, and I mean I knew who Cody was because I was like went to grade school together. Like obviously he's a little bit older, but it's kind of interesting. Like even think back to that where it's like I don't even really remember when I was like, oh yeah, I'm buddies with Zinger. I don't know. I still pinch myself to this day. Can't believe I know you.
And you know what? And I didn't have the same feeling when we first met, but I warmed up to you. I mean, you started passing the puck over. You started to think pass first, which
That's all I
really
do.
works for me because I got blinders on sometimes near the net, and I'm shooting. I'm shooting top
I
right for all those goalies out there. If you got a glove hand, I'm shooting top right. I'm going to beat you 4 out of 5 times, and you're going to know where I'm going to shoot.
right, and I mean, I will say, in all seriousness, it does work because that's what I'm pass first. I don't have a shot. I mean, I don't have a shot. I can say that, and you can
So
shirt me
now we're
about it.
line
I'm going to
mates.
agree with you. I'm going to agree
Yeah.
with you for
Now
sure.
we're line
But
mates.
I get some vision. But I used to, he's playing with Laterno. Like he's the same guy. Like he just shoots. That's all he does. Doesn't pass the puck. You do pass the puck. I will give you that. You do. So that's where we started. But like, um, we were going to talk a little bit about, and this podcast is going to be about anything, right? Anything we want to talk about. There's no specific agenda at all. But the one thing
Yeah,
that we
there, we
wanted,
might transition into one as our viewers demand what we
oh,
talk about,
for sure.
right?
I mean, we'll see what the people
Yeah.
want. We'll give them what they want. But I think what we started with, like even just with the hockey. I mean, right now, I mean, what time we got here at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. Usually, me and you would be at Starbucks having a
Yes.
large or venti americano, some bullshit, right? And you'd be decaf.
Decaf.
I'd have regular because I like being awake. And we're not doing it tonight. Explain why.
Well, we play hockey on Wednesdays at 10 o'clock, and we play for an hour and a half till 11:30 every Wednesday night in the winter. And tonight is one of those nights where there was 7 or 8 guys that weren't going, and we decided to pull the shoot as well because there's a lot of unwritten rules in pickup hockey that we're going to discuss today that are broken very often in this skate. And it's not to say that the guys aren't great. The dressing room is great. The guys are
Mhm.
great. But there's just a lot of unwritten rules that I think near the end of the season here, which there's only 2 skates left, have been broken more often enough where we just needed a change of pace for the week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I feel like it's probably been bubbling over for like a little honestly, probably a month. I know for you specifically,
Month.
you have been you've been pretty checked out like every week that we go. And again, it has nothing to do with like who's there. We've talked about this before and talking about unwritten rules. Like I didn't write any of them down. I'm coming up with them on the spot. You will probably agree with most of them, but what we do is like there's a draft. It's pickup. There's no stakes in this at all. Like it's just for fun. It's at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday for fuck's sake. I mean, we're not pros. No one cares, right? But they do the draft.
Well,
We
no,
have
we care because every one of us wants to win. So we'll back up. There's no. I want to win. When I'm out there, I don't want our team to lose.
if you ask me what the score is, I'm not going to know the score. Like unless it's at the end of the skate and someone says last goal wins, then it's like okay, sure, like I'll go, but I don't care if we win, if we lose. I more care, are people passing the puck? Are we moving it around? Is it an even game? Is it like honestly, is it chill? I don't really care about the competition. That's why I'm playing pickup. If I wanted the competition, I'd be in a league, which I used to do. I don't want to anymore. But when they put all these guys who, like you said, the room is good, everyone's fine. At the beginning of the year, it was completely fine. I think until like Christmas. But the problem with having two teams where nobody moves and switches over is there's animosity builds naturally because it is technically a competitive sport, and shit happens. Sticks are high
Yes.
sometimes, shouldn't be. You run into a guy, someone keeps scoring. You're like, fuck, I hate playing against this guy. And I've said it on the bench so many times. I'm like, I like this guy, but I also want to kill him right now. What do you think? Because we've
That
talked
you
about this at length.
that sums up the skate. Like realistically, you go there, you have a draft, it's fun, it's a great time. Literally, there's not one guy at the skate that I would not tell you is a great guy until December. And then you've
Yeah.
played the same people for 11 weeks and they're starting to get under your skin because they're doing the same thing every time. They're scoring goals. There's of course guys that try harder than others, and there's guys, in my opinion, that break unwritten rules in pickup. And the biggest one that gets me that happens a lot in this skate is just shots that are above waist high
Hmm.
with traffic in front of the net.
That's the biggest one.
In a league game, go ahead and take any shot you want. Most leagues that we would play in now, or men's leagues, let's call them, are no slap shots. In our league, people are taking slap shots with five guys in front of them
Hmm.
and letting them go head high.
I agree
And I
with that
have an
one.
issue with that in pickup. After the first couple times, you look at the guy, hey, what are you doing? And then after a while, like I played defense a lot in this league, I would just move out of the way because I knew it was coming. But then, because someone's doing that all the time, now they're faking the shot because they know the defense is going to move out of the way and then take five extra shots, get right in front of the net. And we're sitting there going, if you're going to take the slap shot and you wind up, you better take that
Like,
shot.
just take it. I agree with that one. Like, that one I think is kind of a no-brainer because, like, there's guys out there with visors or nothing on. Like, we all work tomorrow. That's what I always say is like, I don't care that much. I work tomorrow. I can't get hurt. So for me, it's mostly um I would say like getting hit on the hands. I can't stand like if someone's going in. Sometimes it's an accident, but guys that go a little too hard, whack in the hands. I need those for work, man. This is where the magic happens, right? So that's my livelihood. I can't have that. But just I think the biggest thing for me is I call it all star game defense. Where for me, if someone beats me, I'm probably gonna let them go. Like if I can catch up to them and like strip them or poke it or whatever, I'll do it. But like the hooking, the grabbing, the playing physical, like the try hard type stuff. I know it sounds funny because it's a competitive game, but like I don't really give a shit for that in a pickup skate. Like if I have it and I blow by somebody, most of the time it's like they just let you go, right? But there are guys out here that take it way too seriously. Like they have to like take me down or throw a leg out or a stick. Like, there's shit like that that just it bothers me. There's been times where it's happened, and I get a little bit pissed. And it's not that I'm hurt. It's just that what are you doing? Like why do you care so much about this? I'm not even really going that fast. So that's my big thing, especially being in the corner or like you're turning and there's two guys there, one like stands you up and you're like, okay, like listen, I don't need this tonight at all. So that's kind of how I feel about that. That to me is an unwritten rule is you should be playing all-star game defense. Like the only way you're going to get it back is if they fuck
Yeah.
up or score. That's it. That's
No,
all I'm
that
saying.
makes perfect sense. We're out there. Every pickup game that we play in is an all-star game. There's some back checking every once in a while. Don't get me wrong, but there's a distinction that we have to make here, because out there there's you and two of our other really good buddies that have been buddies for 20, 30 years almost now that we
Mhm.
play together, and when we play against each other, we play a different way
We do.
than I play against everybody else. If Smitty's coming down because he's on the other team, if he's coming down on me, I am trying as hard as I can, and if he gets around me, I'm catching up to him. I'm not
Okay,
letting him have a free pass. But there's a different rule for this
I'm dumping it in on
that
him. That's what I'm doing. I'm not trying
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not getting around
when
him.
we're going on him, it's a different
Oh, sure.
conversation. But when
Oh, you're
he's
saying
coming
if
on
he's
us,
coming
there's
on
no
us.
way he's getting around me. If he's coming on us, I'm not letting him get around.
Yeah.
But there's other people that'll watch this and go, "Oh, that's how he wants to play." It's like, no, no, no. That's how I'm playing against one guy on
Mhm.
the other team.
Yeah.
And like what you said there, if there's the puck corner and I'm the first guy in, listen, if you're behind me, I'm looking over my shoulder and I'm looking for a quick pass, or I'm getting it out of the zone. If you're gonna come down on me and you want the puck that bad, just be yelling at me on your way to the corner. Goes, I'm getting that puck, and you can gladly have it because I'm with
Sure.
you. It's not
I,
about the ability of someone that's trying to hurt you because no one there is trying to get hurt. It's
mhm,
people that don't know the position they're putting you in where you could get hurt that I have an issue with.
right. And I
Right,
think, do
like
you
a
think?
prime example here. A prime example was last week. My skate blade broke in warm up. Do you remember that?
Yep. I don't know
And I
how
was
you were
like, I'm gonna
skating.
go. I'm gonna.
That was wild.
And I was like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. And I'm like, you know what? No, the other team all knows what's going on, and I'll suck this up because we were short benched, just like this week. But we decided not to go this week. We went last week because we were short benched. And I'm in the corner, and all of a sudden, some guy starts pushing me, and I like the guy, great guy. And I turn around and go, dude, what are you doing? He's like, we're playing hockey. I go, but my skate blade's broken, and if it falls out, and we're skating into the boards, or in this case, gliding, and you push me enough where that skate blade comes out, like I'm getting hurt. There's already a chance that it's going to fall out without you pushing me, but I'm not expecting you to push me.
Well, that's
At
exactly it.
league, again,
It's
go to a
awareness.
league, you can push me to whatever you want. Yeah, that's all it is.
It's the awareness, and like, but I wouldn't even say that's not even an unwritten rule. That's just having a good group of guys that would be aware of that. Like, where I would know, all right, I don't want him getting hurt. I'm gonna stay away. And like, that's the thing is, last year, and now for the love, who was it? The older guy? He couldn't skate. He was an old guy. He was a really nice guy. I forget his name now. Goddamn. Anyway, anytime like I would get the puck and go in on him, think Dan, right? I would
Yeah,
go the
great
other
guy.
side. I'd try to like attack. If it's Smitty, I'll go to his side. I'm not gonna like blow around this guy and make him look stupid, or I'm just gonna like casually go around. I'm not gonna toe drag. I'm not gonna do anything stupid, right? And even like when we have our Sunday skate, that one's a really good one. I really like that one. But
Sunday's a different. Well, Sunday's a much different skate. Every
like
we well, I am the oldest person at that skate one, and it's a much different dynamic. We're
it
we're
is.
we're not we're good, but we're not up there going 1-2 in that draft, or 3-4, whatever the heck we went.
No,
Right? We're not in that. In this skate, we're a great middle of the pack, maybe a little upper of the pack. I might be a little bit biased, but
I think everybody kind of like fits in there pretty good.
travel, junior, AAA, whatever it might be, in that skate, and everyone's been playing hockey for 35 years.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing. I get it. My thing is when I'm playing pickup like that, I like moving the puck. Like if there's someone that's not that great, like I'm gonna give it to them every time, just because like if they score, that's awesome. I think it's great. And switching gears from hockey a little bit, we're gonna get into Dane's favorite topic of all time, and that is how great the Liberals are. I'm gonna say politics. Okay,
The
Dane
Liberals are
loves
growing on me in
politics.
Canada.
Dane loves politics. I understand that we should understand it a little bit, but at the end of the day, to me, I think it's kind of a shit show. So you're kind of my like politics guy, and I hear you talk about it all the time, and I just kind of sit there and try to be a sponge and just kind of go like, all right, you're kind of into it. I honestly try to stay away from it, like because to me it's so depressing. Just
You're probably
everything I
much
hear is,
happier.
oh yeah, well I try to. I mean, on Twitter, I've been blocking like everything that I don't want to hear, like all the words. It's just like Trump, Biden, tariffs. Like I just want to look at hockey stats. That's all I care. That's all I want. So I don't know. So here's my question to you. Got all this stuff going on, tariffs and this trade war and all this stuff. But the first thing I want to ask, and maybe you can do this your own way, but like, what the hell is going on with everything? Okay, so Trudeau's gone. Mark Carney's there now, and
Yeah.
people are up in arms because like, oh, we didn't like elect him in. You should call an election. It's like, okay, like I get it. So it's like this is kind of weird. Isn't this what happened in the States as well?
Well, it's different because, and I'll try to keep this like simple. So in a nutshell, we in Canada, we live in Canada. It's a different political landscape, and it's a different democratic system. So obviously we're a democracy, and the US is a democracy. So in its simplest form, Canada does not vote directly for the prime minister. In the United States, Donald Trump and Joe Biden were on the ballot, and you checked their name and you could pick them. So they have a system where you could be a Democrat and you could have voted, yes, Donald Trump. I vote for Donald Trump. And then the rest of your ticket for Congress, you could have voted Democrat. For Senate, you could have voted Democrat. For governor, you could have voted Democrat. And I mean, they have different elections all the time, so they might not have done this, but just saying in Canada, we have a federal election and you vote for the party. So you have a candidate in your riding or your section of the landscape of the map, and you vote for that person. And then whoever gets the most votes, two things can happen. You can either have a majority, which means that person in the case the liberals would win, they win a majority, they have over 172 seats in Canada, they automatically form government. In the last election in Canada, federal election, what happened was the Conservatives won the most seats. I don't know if you know this or not. They actually won the election. They got the most seats. The Conservatives to this day, they could not form government. They could not get someone to prop them up and support them to that 172 seats. So as soon as the Conservatives can do that, the Liberals under Justin Trudeau went in, made a deal with the NDP, and they formed government. So over the last, let's say, 2 years, Justin Trudeau has become in Canada the most hated person that I've ever seen in my entire life. It didn't matter if you voted for him or not. And hey, truth be told, I voted for him in his first election. I think it was 2016. I voted for the guy. I thought he'd be great. And he was okay. And then he started pushing all sorts of policies and changing the national anthem and wanting trans male and women's sports and whatever, all this stuff that literally 90% of the population disagrees with. So he lost the vast support. And what happened in Canada is he's the leader of the Liberal Party who happens to be the prime minister. And he said, I'm resigning. And when he resigns, the general population doesn't get to vote for the leader direct. So they go back to their caucus and they voted in, and they had an election between Cynthia Threeland, who was the deputy prime minister, quit. That's how the election got triggered. Won't get into it. And Mark Carney. And Mark Carney won in a landslide, as he probably should have. So back up on Mark Carney now. I've been a big supporter of Mark Carney for 10 years up until the last two because he was the Bank of Canada, Governor Bank of Canada, government of the Bank of England, ran private equity, Brookfield Global Assets, and he's a very intelligent person. The problem is he has been an economic advisor to Trudeau for the last 5 years, and we're in the tank. So the question becomes: is did he tank it on purpose? Like, did the guy literally give bad economic advice so he could run? Because he arguably knew he was the next in line after Trudeau to get this. The thing that people are all up in arms though, he's never been elected to government ever his entire life, and he's the prime minister. Like, no one's elected him to office. He's never won a seat, none of that. So that's where everyone's up in arms about this. And you can see the Americans are spreading a lot of this false narrative that, oh, he's not even elected. He technically doesn't have to be. His party elected him, who we all voted for to form government, and then Trudeau resigns, they elect a new leader. That's how it works. He didn't break any rules, and they did it the proper way. This is just how it works.
To me, it just feels a little weird because it's like I do see that narrative and go like, I get why people would say that because it doesn't seem fair. Like where it's like, okay, well, all of a sudden this guy's just like running the country, and you're like, I mean, I didn't really vote for that, you know. So I understand that's the way that it goes because you're voting for the party and not the actual. Because it's different. Like that's the thing you think about in the states. They're like, oh, like this is the same thing. That's why I asked. Is the same thing that happened with Kamala Harris? It's like not really then, right?
Not even close. Not
No,
even close.
it felt the same because I went, well, Biden was there, and then it was kind of like, oh, okay, but she's the next in line, and then it just felt like a bunch of BS. But like, okay, here's another question for you: the thing that Carney is doing, and this is why I kind of hate politics because it is a game, right? And like they're trying to win, and they'll do anything they need to do to win. rather than, it felt like when you're a kid, like class president will say, I'm going to
Yeah.
do all these things for you. Vote for me. I'll do all these
Yeah.
things for you. That's what everyone probably thinks it should be. That's not what it is. It's how can I beat these other people, right? And
Yes.
get most of the population to want to vote, right, for my party or me,
Yeah.
whatever. Where this whole time, Pierre Polyev has been basically, he was like, his biggest thing is what, carbon tax, right? Axe the tax
Mhm.
and, make Canada great and all this stuff. And
And Justin
the
Trudeau
thing is,
sucks. That was his platform.
right, it was Justin Trudeau sucks. Well, he's not there anymore. And now Carney does this whole thing with this carbon tax, basically the optics, and I'm not saying this is how it is because you sent me the document there, but the optics, we got rid of it. And now it's like, well, that's what Polyev was going to do. So here's the thing that's weird, and this is why politics pisses me off. Well, he was fucking here with Trudeau the whole time. So now all of a sudden, I'm gonna like redo all this shit, and then you get people that were, maybe they're with Trudeau and they support all this stuff, but now that it's being flipped around and it's still their party, they still agree with it. What are we
So
doing
what
here?
so what I generally think happened is the carbon tax, and I hate to say this because I'm really not that much for it, but it's part of the world that we're moving in. We're transitioning into a world where there has to be a price on carbon. In order to trade with the EU, you need to have a price on your own carbon, or they don't want you to trade with them. Emerging Asian markets, I won't get into this long, big spiel, but emerging Asian markets, China, everyone is going down this road where if your country doesn't have a carbon tax, and it's called 100 different things, but in the essence of it, if you don't put a price on carbon, you won't trade with them. The US under Donald Trump has now eliminated this. They were going down this road, the Paris Accord, you can look it up. Um, the Paris Accord was forcing them to do this. So, because this became such a political issue in Canada, what I truly believe happened is Trudeau was preparing because the NDP was all over him to cancel it because it is a huge dollar figure on Canadian products, on our gas, on our food, everything. So it became a political issue where they needed to cancel this. They needed to make it zero. And I think Justin Trudeau was preparing to do this, but he knew for the Liberal Party and for his future political career, which he has aspirations to do other things, it's already in the media about it. He needed to step down. So they got together. I'm gonna go with everybody again. Everybody knew Carney was gonna win, so he had a meeting with Carney, and Carney said, "You do not talk about taking the carbon tax off until I get elected. I'm gonna do it." I'm going to make it zero because then I'll get the support. And it's exactly what you said. The guy went out there and he signed a document that's as fake as any document could be because he doesn't have executive orders like the Americans. Now we live in a position where we get a bunch of American news. So people think like, oh, Donald Trump signed this executive order. We do not have those in Canada. The prime minister can't just change laws like they can in the US. So he signed a document that basically said he's going to make this zero. He can't, but because he'll have the party's support to do this, and he'll have everyone's support to do this to make it zero, he knows on April 1st it's going to pass. So he basically went in there and said, we're going to make it zero on the consumer, which was a whole other gimmick because he's still going to have an industrial carbon tax on the biggest polluters, which is like steel mills and your oil your oil refineries. They're still going to be paying a price on carbon, which is still going to get passed down to us as the consumer.
Right. So like this was something where I was like, is this just like a kind of, I don't want to say a stunt, but like, hey, I'm gonna show myself signing this thing because most people are gonna see it's the optics, right? Like that's a lot of politics
Correct.
is what someone like me that's just honestly just like an average guy that doesn't really I feel like I felt like I even saw through it a little bit. I'm like, well, it just made no sense to me that it's like you're doing this to take away the conservative platform, which is smart because most people are going to just be like, "Oh, cool, great." Like it's like, "Well, wait, you didn't you remember what happened the last 3 or 4 years? Like they did
Three,
this. It's like they
10,
made the mess and
10.
now they're going to clean it up." It's like, well, that's ridiculous. Like it's like me, taking this thing and just pouring it all over the floor, and then I clean it up with a paper towel, and you give me a pat on the back. Good job, buddy. It's like, well, I did it. It was my mess, right? So
You- so yes, to a certain extent. I'm a very big believer that Trudeau went down a path of an egotistical maniac who started pushing policies that weren't good for the country, but he thought they were good. And again, people say Trudeau's dumb. He was the prime minister of Canada for freaking 10 years. The guy's not an idiot. He just isn't. Do I agree with any of his policies at the end? No. But I'm saying this because I think it trickles down. So, like, obviously, the Liberals have a leader in Trudeau, and he sits there and is convincing everybody why they should do things, and and maybe a bunch of people are yes people because they're trying to gain that political leverage. Like, you want to be a cabinet minister, and then you don't want to lose being a cabinet minister in Canada because it props you up if you have if you want to become prime minister or further your political career. So I generally think that does happen in the political landscape and the realm of politics. Is you get a bunch of yes people, and what was happening was they had to get rid of him because being a yes person to him now inherently hurts you as a liberal. If you were a liberal candidate, you weren't going to get elected because you were tied to Justin Trudeau. And a bunch of liberals in Quebec and Ontario and BC tried to separate themselves from him, which was why the party collapsed under his leadership. But now with Mark Carney involved, I think he's a very intelligent person. I think he understands politics. He's been around politicians his whole life. Mind you, he's never been one. But I think under his leadership, he goes, guys, we like everyone knew they had to scrap the carbon tax on consumers to zero. If they didn't do that, they were losing the election a landslide. And like you said, it's a game. He wants to win. What's he gonna do? Pierre Poilievre for 5 years of saying axe the tax. They just axed the tax. All right, Pierre, what do you got next?
well,
I
that's
don't
what I
know
was
what you
gonna
got
say.
next.
Well,
Yeah, he's
now
gone
what?
too. And and you as close as I do, and you might not even know what I'm about to say. The Conservatives went from 3 months ago having a 98% chance
I've seen
Conservative
it,
majority.
and
Dude, the Liberals
it's
have a
right there.
55% chance of
Yeah.
having a majority,
Hmm.
right? But the other thing you got to realize is Jagmeet Singh before Trudeau stepped down was we're not gonna support the Liberals. We're gonna go to an election.
Hmm.
Now that Carney's in, the NDP won't call an election. They're about to lose 12, 12 seats.
Hmm.
Right? They don't even have that many to begin with. Now they're going to lose 12. They're not calling an election. The smartest thing, if I'm sitting in Mark Carney's shoes, is government comes back on March 24th. So he should probably pass this law to confirm that there's going to be no carbon tax April 1st, and then immediately call an election.
Hmm. Because that would
Because if
probably
you can
be
call
the
an election
highest.
quickly,
Yeah, that like that's the people where people are gonna go, oh, well, that kind of didn't that happen the last election too? Wasn't that where they were handing out like CERB and all that shit, and they called an election, and
yep,
it was like, well, of course, people are
yep,
gonna be like, hey, the liberals, they're great, they gave us money, and then like
yep,
6 months later, like you got to pay it back. It's like,
you
holy
got
smoke.
it. And that's exactly what happened.
So then now what's Pierre gonna do? Because but like I said, they took away kind of the power of like what he was running on. So it's like now
This is
you got to pivot a little,
this
right?
is the question. So the best thing for Pierre is that Mark Carney doesn't call an election. Trump puts his tariffs on globally because he's putting global tariffs. It's not just on Canada, and it hurts us. And Pierre sits back and says whatever he does and comes up with a new slogan. And the Liberals continue to look bad under their leadership, and we keep getting hurt economically in Canada. Now, if that happens, because we have to have an election before the end of November, for sure, 100%, that's written in stone. And if he waits until then, I think Pierre brings back a chance. But if Carney calls the election, let's say beginning of next week, I honestly can't see him winning. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to win. He's going to win a seat and announce his retirement from politics. Because typically, Jagmeet Singh is the only leader that has went through, I think, two, maybe three election cycles now as the leader of the NDP party, has never won and is still the leader. Typically, if you're a liberal or a conservative and you lose the the race, you step down and give somebody else a try to get a new idea, a new leader, a new face to win. And I genuinely see that's the case of Pierre in this case. And like a month, 2, 3 months ago, I would have told you there's absolutely no way he loses.
That's what it felt like to me too. And like I said, just from being kind of on the outside, that felt like almost like an insurmountable lead. And like if he doesn't win, it's like you missed the dunk. But it makes sense with how all everything has gone. But like talking about the tariffs and all this stuff. I mean, the amount of people that I work on that want to bring this up, and I'm just like, listen, to me, to try to simplify it, I just feel like it's kind of like pissing in the wind. Like everyone's gonna get hurt by it. Like, and it's one of these things like where you see. I'll be scrolling through TikTok and I'm seeing things like people going, oh, you know, an American will make a TikTok and they're like, well, we don't need anything from you. And then like a Canadian will respond and be like, well, here's all the shit that you buy from us. And like, I don't think, I think most people are very like uninformed, and like I'll count myself in that because I'll see some of this stuff and go like, well, I'd have to look it up, because like it's all numbers, it's all math, and you can definitely see, right? But that's where I think sometimes these politicians, they do say things where a, a lot of things that Trump says, people just eat it up, and that's what it is. Like whatever he says is fact. Where it's like, oh, we're subsidizing Canada. It's like, well, you have a trade deficit, like so you're buying our shit. So, but that's what trade is about. And for me, I'm going like, it's really weird that they're picking a fight with like their closest ally, who like nothing has been really wrong for like a long, long time. Like I don't know what the deal is with that, but maybe you can explain it because I have no idea.
It's tough to explain, and I mean, there's 100 different economics majors out there, and people thinking they know what's going on. In a nutshell, in my opinion, in a nutshell, it's very simple. The American nation is a consumer nation. They buy more goods than they produce at the moment, and that's why they are taking imports, and they have a trade deficit with multiple countries, not just us, multiple. Now Canada is a mineral export, natural resources powerhouse, right? We have a ton of goods, of raw goods like lumber, specialty metals, oil that we can export. Potash. So potash is a funny one because that's one that no one really talks about, and it's a major deal. So the one thing you got to
Dude, I
remember
didn't
is,
even know what it
and
was.
yeah, no,
Like,
it's fertilizer basically, and
yeah.
without potash, you don't grow food. But basically, and the problem that I have is because I read a study the other day, and it was the U.S. in 22 years will run out of all of these things. And then they're like, well, that's a 22-year from now problem. It's like, no, that's a problem right now. 22 years in the span of a country and how they have to plan is tomorrow. Like 22 years is tomorrow. And that's what really is what I don't get because for reference, and again, don't quote the exact dates here, but 10 years ago, Canada did not have the oil reserves it did. And all of a sudden, we found a huge another oil sands, and now we have the most oil in arguably the world. The other problem is our oil sucks compared to Saudi oil that comes out of the ground clean, easy to refine. That's a whole other conversation. But things can change. So right now the US is running out of resources. But tomorrow they could find deposits of uranium because the US produces very little uranium, which powers all their cities, all their nuclear subs, all their nuclear reactors, right? And they get most of it from Canada. So it's one of those things where does the US need our stuff? Mm, yeah, there's no way around it. But the other than you look at the Canadian side and go, they need our stuff. They do, but not to the extent you think they need it. Like if we stop giving them oil, all of a sudden we're in a huge trade surplus. That's a fact. The Americans can argue that based on every statistic you can find. That's the fact. We don't ship them oil at a very, very good price, by the way, a very low price point that allows them to sell their oil higher. um, we're not in a trade deficit. In fact, if we raised our oil up 25% to them, the deficit shrinks to freaking like almost nothing. And that's where it comes into play. Where does the US need us? A lot of states do. A lot of I would say 30 million people in the US 100% depend on Canada. But that's 10% of their population.
It's like the northern states, right? Is what I've been hearing, like with their hydro and electricity, and like they would basically power a lot of these places, right? Well, that's where you hear like Doug Ford being like, I'll turn the power off. I'll do it. It's like there's a switch, just like Trump thought there's a
And it
faucet
worked.
that opens up the water.
Yeah, and it works. Without Doug Ford saying, was like he went there and got schooled. If he didn't say he was going to turn the power off, do you think the U.S. would have called him and goes, "We need to talk"? Absolutely not. I'm sure somebody went there and went, "They're actually going to do it," because typically what happens here and what he's doing and why he waited until April 2nd is you form a team, and that team looks at if we put 25% tariff on Canada, what could happen, right? And you look at your BATNAs, your best alternative potential outcomes, right? And you try to find the best ones, and you try to find the worst ones. And in this group, you have what if Canada just puts retaliatory tariffs on us? What happens? Is that really bad? And to me, it is. To me, come April 2nd, the American consumer will notice a price jump like the Canadian consumer. And the difference with Canada is and it's funny, I golf a lot as you mentioned, and I was talking to our buyer at the golf course we play at the other day, and typically how it works is you have and I'm saying this so people understand, is in Canada we won't have a tariff on Thailand, let's say. Thailand makes a lot of shirts, right? They make a lot of golf shirts and then they ship them to a hub, right? So right now, how a tariff could affect the U.S. worse than us is we won't have a tariff on Thailand, but the U.S. will. So all of a sudden, we're getting the same golf shirt. Let's say it's a Puma golf shirt. I have no idea if they make them in Thailand. I'm just using Puma as an example. So Puma manufactures their golf shirts in Thailand. Don't know if that's true or not, but let's say they do. They ship them to a hub, which was in the U.S. That U.S. is going to be paying the U.S. company that's importing it is going to pay a tariff on that Thailand shirt, on that Taiwanese shirt. And then because I bought it in Canada, they're now going to ship that to Canada. So you're going to get a tariff in the US that's going to hit the US, that's going to raise the price in the US. And then from that hub, they're going to ship it to Canada, which is going to get another tariff because now it's a product coming from the US to Canada. And that product's going to be hit again. So all of a sudden, the price went up in the US and then in Canada by a little bit more. Well, all that's going to happen now is that Taiwanese company is going to set up a hub in, I don't know, Kelowna, BC. And they're going to bypass the US, ship the golf shirts to Kelowna to bypass the tariff, and then they're going to ship it to the back to the US, which is going to pay a 25% tariff, which might have been the same as they paid from Thailand. And all of a sudden, they just moved the hub, the main shipping hub, out of the US, which had tons of jobs, and they're going to move all the jobs to Canada. So that's one way how the US will be affected. They're going to lose jobs, pay more than the shirt, and Canada is going to reap the benefit, and we're going to pay the same price. And that's what people aren't thinking of. Again, is it going to hurt Canada more than the US? 100%. But I to speak of this, I actually read another. I thought it was brilliant. Was someone said, "Hey, instead of charging me the carbon tax and telling people to do their part by paying it, why don't you give them the money and then ask them for the $300 back after, and let's see how many people are willing to do their part." Because everyone that's complaining about we need to do the part, we need to do the part. I guarantee you, when it has to come out of their when it literally is in their hand and they have to give it, they're not going to give it. And that's what we're about to find out.
I just feel like the way you described it, I feel a little better about it, but at the same time, it's just like there's so many things that like just the fallout of it, right? And it's like, is it happening? Is it not? And it's just the threat of it. And are they playing a longer game? What do they want, right? And that's
I'll
just
give you
how
my
I'm like,
prediction. I'll give you my two predictions on this. One
okay.
is he's going to put these tariffs on April 2nd. They're going to last for about 3 months. He's going to realize that he screwed up the entire global trade, screwed up the entire American playbook, and is costing the Americans tons of money. And he's going to take them off. That is prediction one. That's if you were to ask me what I think is going to happen, that's what I think is going to happen. What I also think is a possibility, which would be my second prediction, is the rest of the world throws tariffs back on the US, isolates them. We Canada, along with the EU, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, China, all start trading together.
Hmm.
And the US cuts themselves out. And they run into a position where they say they don't need anything, which is fine. But all of a sudden you have No overseas cars coming. So everyone that likes those BMWs and whatever the overseas cars that were coming in, you can't buy those anymore. Anybody that was buying, I'm trying to think of another good example of stuff, TVs, electronics, everything that was made in China. All of a sudden, it's very expensive in the U.S.
Mm,
and you can't get the new technology, and you're paying way more for it. But all of us over in Canada, we might have lost some jobs, or GDP might have went down, but we're still getting all of this stuff. We're getting the Puma golf shirts still. We're
mm.
still getting all of this. And the US is only getting what they can make internally, which I'm saying all this because they're gonna run out. They're a consumer nation. You can't all of a sudden build a car plant and produce 1.76 million more cars overnight. That's how many
Like just
cars
out of
Canada
thin
produced in
air,
2023, by
basically,
the way.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you like it doesn't work that way. Like you like let's put this, we're building a battery plant right near us. It's been going on for
Mhm.
2 years. They're still 2 years away.
Yeah.
He can't just all of a sudden, okay, let's build this tomorrow. We're gonna waive all the red tape, the regulations, and build it.
Mhm.
It's still gonna take you, it's gonna take you 20 years to build the capacity that Canada and Mexico provides to you, all while being short. And this isn't even talking about the agriculture aspect in the potash, which is his biggest thing. They're gonna lose out on food products. They're just not gonna be able to buy food. You're gonna have empty shelves in the grocery store.
So I think probably that first prediction is the one that I think is probably the most plausible, right? Where it's like, oh, like this is actually hurting us way more than anyone else, right? Where you might even get that kind of public pushback from people going like,
That's
this
what's
is
gonna happen.
ridiculous. Like we're getting, fucked here. And,
Yeah.
if we're over here going like, yeah, I mean, we can still get our shit. And like the way that you described it is something that I've never had it explained like that before. Where it's like, okay, that does make sense. Where it's like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of crap, but like even just saying like, yeah, we might actually get more stuff just based on they're not, companies aren't going to want to go to the U.S. because of these things. That's something that technically, would be kind of the silver lining of it. But I do agree. I think it's just something where it's like I don't know if it's going to be like a thing that's going to last forever. Like it's going to
Well,
probably come to pass at one point where it's and they're not small taxes, right? That's big numbers where that trickle down effect. I mean, over here we felt it with that carbon tax with a lot of things with groceries and gas and stuff and it's like, yeah,
mhm,
we can still exist, but like the amount like this is on everything. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
that's something where like even going across the border now, you come back and they're like pulling you in, making you pay it, and it's like, oh my, all right, well, I'm not going to go over there and buy shit anymore. I'm just going to stay here, right? And I'm going to spend money on
Well,
our
that's it.
economy, I guess. But
And what's funny is, see, this brings me to my point is there's people, and we live in a border city, and there's people going, I'm not going to go there. No one in Windsor should
yeah, you
travel
will.
and buy stuff. They're going to feel it. And my argument to that is, dude, they won't. Us being the consumer and going over to their Kroger or their Meijer, they could care less. That has no bearing on the situation. And Canadians need to realize this. Us not buying products over there, who cares? The way that it's going to hurt them is all of a sudden they have to spend more on their own products.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. Because
It's
I
not
think
us doing it. Yeah.
correct,
Yeah. That's
correct.
interesting.
And
It's
and I
just yeah, go ahead.
no, and I was going to say I think the other thing people just realize, because there's a buy Canada movement, especially in grocery stores right now. And I'd ask you this because you probably never paid attention to this. You might have. You walk around the grocery store. Did nobody realize before that 95% of our grocery store is products made in Canada to begin with?
Mhm.
Like, like
Yeah, well,
this
that's
is why Trump
something.
is, hold on. This is why Trump is complaining about our dairy and all of our agriculture, is because
Oh, lost you
until they
again.
walked down the
Oh,
store and
there
saw
you
a
go.
Canadian flag next to every freaking product on the shelves.
Well, that's the thing now is I've seen it on the shelves where it's like they have the Canadian flag and it's like it's all over the place. And it's like, okay, I mean, I'm still getting this stuff, so it's not that big of a
Yeah.
deal. But yeah, it's interesting. It sucks, but it's something that you obviously people need to know. But it's just again, you've talked about like with a lot of politics, it's just misinformation or missing information, I guess. And then different
The
sides
thing,
of it. You see the American side, the Canadians, and it's so jumbled where it's like a lot of people probably don't know what to think. Like I'm just going to stay out of it. We'll see what happens because a lot of people feel like I don't have the power to do anything.
yeah, and I'll end it, and I'll kind of end the conversation with this. I could talk about this for hours,
Mhm.
but the other thing I don't think people realize, and I'm gonna go back to the whole Bud Light thing too, because this was like the starting point for me of people. Oh, I'm not gonna buy Bud Light because of what they did, right? Like that was
Mhm.
2 years ago maybe,
Yeah.
and then I'm with somebody who goes, I hate Bud Light. I'm never drinking that again. And then he orders a Stella, and I'm looking at him going
Same
like,
company.
okay, dude, yeah, it's still Budweiser. Like,
Yeah.
at least if you're gonna do this, understand what you're doing. And I'm saying this because now we're in a movement where people are like, don't buy Lay's potato chips. And I'm sitting here going, okay, are we not buying Lay's potato chips because we think it's American? Because I can tell you right now, every bag of Lay's potato chips you buy in Ontario, anyways, I'm 95% sure on this. The potatoes are Canadian, the manufacturing facilities in Canada. The bags are produced in Canada. Pretty well the whole product is produced in Canada, but it's an American company that owns it. So then my
Mhm.
argument to this was, well, you better stop drinking Tim Hortons. You
Yeah.
better stop drinking Starbucks, right? Because Starbucks, their cups aren't produced in Canada. The coffee's not purchased from Canada, right? The equipment's not purchased from Canada. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, we're I'm gonna buy from Starbucks. You know why? Because those are Canadian jobs. I'm not going to stop buying it. Maybe I'm gonna look on Amazon to see where the hell the product's coming from, and now if I want to give my fair shake here. But I'm also gonna ask these questions too, because someone posted this the other day: 6.99 strawberries made in Canada, 2.99 strawberries made in the US. I'm
US.
gonna
Thanks.
pretty well tell you, people are buying the 2.99
Give me the
strawberries.
cheaper. Give me the cheaper.
Yeah, they're
100%.
drawing a line. Drawing a line.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely.
Everybody is making a stand until it affects their wallet.
Mhm. That's
And this
exactly
is
it.
the economy runs the voters. But anyways, that's all because it proves that some people know what's going on. And even myself, don't get me wrong, I might know a little bit more than the average person because I'm interested in it. But I can still tell you, I have no idea what's going to happen, right? I have no money. I took most of my money out of the stock market. Why? Uncertainty,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
That's what
I
everybody hates
took
is
my money out of
uncertainty.
the stock market too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really concerned that my stocks were gonna crash. Uh, so yeah, I pulled them for sure off of my
Yeah.
stocks. Um, One thing, if we're talking about gains, how's your training going? Because something me and you were doing in June, something I never thought that I would
Yeah.
do. Tough Mudder, and for people that don't know what a Tough Mudder is, um, it it is I guess a battle of wills, like for yourself. Um, from what I have gathered and what we are training for. Well, okay, first of all, tell me how it's what is it, 10K, 15? The actual running part of it? I don't even know.
I think it's half. No, it's half a marathon. So what's that? A marathon's 26.2, so it's 13
Well,
one.
it's like well, that's 20K. I've done that before. I'm not worried about that. It's there's a lot of like
That's funny. You and
like
I have different worries.
there's obstacles in the way. It's not just running. Like I could do the running part, but and that's kind of the thing. I used to be like a runner, like long distance. It was all that stuff. You did your weightlifting, strength training, shit like that. I've never done that. I don't know if you've ever been really like a runner, and I you know you've been doing it now, but like we're signed up for this thing, and honestly, before probably last summer, no shot. There's zero chance I would have said yes. And it's funny like how it's honestly been an afterthought for me. Like I haven't even really thought, oh yeah, we're doing that in June. Like, I've been kind of doing things for different reasons, but having that extra like motivation or goal of like, let's do this. A Tough Mudder is interesting because it's like it's not really I don't think it's really timed. It probably is, but like I don't care. It's more of just like, can I get
It's
through these obstacles. Like no one wins, no one loses. It's honestly like people helping each other out and like kind of teamwork. And I'm sure there's obstacles where you probably need to do that, but it's just like from what I've seen, it's like lots of fucking climbing, jumping, getting freezing water on you, getting electrocuted, like just some crazy shit. And with running in between. So my concern is I've never had upper body strength, never. I still really don't. Working on it, but the specific training that you said that we would probably have to start. I mean, I've been just doing strength training. And really for me, I just got back into it like last week. From having a kid in December to having Christmas and then, new house stuff and just the kind of the shit show of what's been going on, it was tough to figure out like my routine. Like I had a routine before I moved, right? Where it was basically, go to the gym. It was like, okay, put down, my oldest, which, wife would do that. Shannon would do that. And then as she's doing that, I just go to the gym. It was 5 minutes down the street. It was easy to go, and it was just a couple times a week, nothing crazy, and eating better and trying to, like, trim up a little because like, we've both talked about this. Like, I'm 5'8", Dane's 5'3", and so it's something where, like, if you're up to, like, a buck 90, like, that's you're overweight, and that's where I was at, and notice that Dane didn't, like, cut me off and say that he's actually 5'4", and, like, this is something that I never thought I would get to that point of like, I was at 190. I was a fucking balloon. You were too, man. Like the pictures like I've seen, it's like, wow. Like that is a transformation. Because you started basically a year and 2 months or year and 3 months ago.
Yeah, yeah,
What were
yeah.
you
So
what were
you,
you
so
at
you,
your heaviest? What were you at your biggest?
for the record, if Kyle's 5'8", I'm 5'7" and 3/4. So, but to say he was probably 190 pounds of like mostly fat, where I was like 200 pounds of like not quite as much fat as that because I still had muscle, but so it was pretty close.
Yeah.
But back to Kyle's point is I've been weight training for, well, I shouldn't say four, from the age of 16 to 25, and then zero until a year and a half ago.
Well,
And
that's a
so it
funny thing.
was easy for.
Dude, I remember doing classes in high school, like in phys ed, or even like there was a class that I took in grade 12, and it was like a fitness class, but I thought it was like phys ed, and that's what I signed up for, but they didn't have enough in that
This is
semester to
exercise
do it.
science.
No, I loved exercise science. That's how it got me into doing what I'm doing. But it was second semester grade 12, and I signed up to do phys ed. I'm like, I just need a bird class, whatever. I don't need really anything, and they didn't have enough for phys ed, so they placed me in this like fitness class. So it was more just about like working out, and I was like, I don't fucking do that. Like at the time when I was like 17, I was 135 pounds soaking wet. Just could throw back McDonald's no problem, burn it off. You're playing hockey and soccer and running and doing all this extra shit, and eventually it catches up with you. But I'm saying back then when we did even like fitness testing in gym class, all the running, all the lower body stuff, no problem. I could do it, crush it, perfect score, whatever it was, whatever the 12-minute run was, I'd go, 3, 4 laps more just because it's like, well, I can, right? But then you get me going on the bench and it's like I'm struggling doing the bar. It's like, holy shit, like I have nothing waist up, zero. So that has been the biggest struggle for me is like trying to build that up, in and I think it's something where like I started this honestly, and I'm not bullshitting you. I know we joke around a lot. I started doing this because of you. Like I saw we were playing hockey at South Windsor. It was I think
That's
last year's session, like towards the end. And for some reason I hadn't seen I don't think I've seen you for a while. I don't know why. Maybe you were golfing or something. And I just remember or like seeing you going like, dude, what the like how the hell what happened to you? Like just you're like cut all of a sudden, fucking bulging muscles, just a superhero. And I was like, this is I mean, I might be over exaggerating that, but compared to what you were, and I went
At the time, yeah, and
and
that.
you know what went through my head? If this bozo can do it, I probably can do this too. Okay, so but that was when we were talking about counting calories and really figuring out like what you're putting into your body. And even with my background, like I have the health background, it's nothing I've ever cared about or had to care about until now. And probably you were the same way because you're so active and you don't even realize what's happening. You don't realize
Yeah.
what is going on. And the thing too, and maybe you can talk about this too, was just like getting to that point of like I accepted it. Like
I
it's
never
sad to think
knew.
back. No, I did.
I never knew. I was like, I'm still in
Dude.
good shape, and I look in the mirror, and I was like, I still look pretty good.
No, dude,
And then all of a sudden, I forget what clicked.
we
We always called each other bags of
bags of
milk.
milk. Yes, I was just gonna say we would always be in the
I
dressing
just
room.
thought
"Ah,
you
whatever."
guys were throwing me in with you guys. Like I didn't think I actually
No.
was.
we I said I have worked on you and Smitty and Lou and like Hersey, all our buddies, and we all had the same body type, just no shape, just like no definition, pasty white dude. Dad bod. And I was like, I leaned into dad bod, like whatever. Yeah, like who cares, right? And it's like the thinking even now, I'm like, well, that's really stupid because even from just Christmas until like a week or two ago, like I put on 6, 7 pounds just from not looking at it
You're slow
or
right there.
not eating specifically what I was before. And honestly, trying to like experiment with a few things and going like, oh, that's not really working. So like what I would say is what I'm doing that's definitely different than you is what was working for me was I was like, I need to lose some weight. Like I just need to get to do the calorie deficit and just get down to where I'm feeling good. And I wasn't even really concerned too much about like the working out to me was an extra. Like it was a bonus. Like where it was like I'm eating 1600 calories, which isn't much, because like I actually what 200 2500 something like that is what would need to maintain, but like way under. And then working out was just a bonus. It was like, all right, you're burning calories doing that too, playing hockey, running, working out, twice a week. And
At 1,600 calories is
it,
like you're starving yourself,
I didn't feel like
which
that
you
though,
know
because
now.
if I did, I would have stopped. But I felt good. Like I found
But your
things
body
that
had
were
enough
like,
fat to pool off of.
well, maybe that probably was a little bit of it, but you know, the thing is when I started to try to like incorporate more and add calories to it, I just felt like, and we've talked about this, in the math makes sense of like up your calories, up your protein, keep working out, you're gonna burn the fat, right? And it's something that to me, I'm still like, I feel like I still want to like just keep losing some weight and like the strength will come. So that's something that I've tried to change a little bit, is like I'm going to do what I was doing before, and even doing that for the last week and a half, I feel way better than when I was trying to like bulk. I'm not at that point. I'm really not, you know. So your training though, I've worked out with you a few times. It is fun. I will say that is a challenge for me too. But one thing that you said that stuck with me, um, when I came over, you remember what you said to me? You put some plates on, and I was like, "Oh shit,
A lot of dumb
that's
things
too much. That's too."
that you're a little bitch or
Yeah. Well, no, that too. No, you put on. We were gonna do. I think we're doing squats, and you put on way more than I've ever done. But like it was, well, we're gonna do 3 or 4 reps. We're gonna do high weight and just low rep, and we're gonna do like 5 sets or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, I understand like what this is. It's progressive overload, and you're trying to fatigue the muscle, right? So you told me you're stronger than you think, and I was like,
everybody is.
everybody is, right? And I mean, I was able to do it, and damn, I felt pretty damn good. And I switched to doing that type of workout for a little bit of like, oh, I'm gonna like do the doing the heavier weight was fun. Um, Now I'm kind of back down to like I'm doing slightly lower weight, more reps, like maybe 2, 3 sets, and like keeping it a little bit simple for me. Because the thing too now is I got the gym in the garage finally. You have one too, but like I finally have basically what I need, and I found it a little bit easier to like if I have a half an hour or 45 minutes at night to just go in there, just do something. Don't do nothing. Go in there and pick 4 or 5 exercises you want to do them, and you'll feel okay. You'll be fine, right? So the fact that I've kind of tried to like just simplify it because I got a little complicated with it, and being more complicated with it if you missed or if you didn't hit what the number you thought you were going, it felt like you were failing, right? And then mentally it was a battle of like, well, why am I doing this? Right. So it was for me, I think now I've kind of had to like shift my focus to what was working and just continue to do that. So I think it's different than what you've been doing because you've been
Yeah.
lifting.
No, it's interesting because I train I train back to I'm gonna back up. I train differently in the sense of I'm very scientific about it, and I'm really trying to follow patterns. Like if I knew what I knew now at 18, I would have been in unbelievable shape. But now that I'm learning, so like when you came over, I was in a program where I was doing 4 to 8 reps. That was the range. And at the time, I think we put 2 plates on. I put a little more on squats, and now I'm at a position where I'm in the 350s of squats. But now I'm generally in a nervous position where I can hurt myself. So
Which is the last thing
I
you
still
want. We just
do it.
talked about that for hockey.
Yeah,
You don't want to hurt
yeah.
yourself. You want to be fit,
And
but
back when I first started doing this, I don't know if you remember, I had a different injury every week. You guys would joke around and go, "You're working out. You're supposed to get healthier,
oh, your
and you're
groin
hurt
was
every other
screwed
week."
up, man.
Oh, it still is. Well, and I think this is why I had all those prostate problems because they're back a little bit because I was riding the bike so much that I was screwing up nerves. Anyways, it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a position where, like right now, I'm on a different program and I'm anywhere between 8 and 12 reps,
Hmm.
and that's for the compound exercises. And then when I get down to the smaller muscles, when you're isolating them, I'm 12 to 15, and I don't like changing up my workout programs earlier than 12 weeks. But within the workout program that I'm working out, I changed the set and the rep range. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And I think we've talked about this before. Is someone's like, I'm at a plateau. What do I do?
Hmm.
Well, what's your plateau? Your plateau is 4 to 6 reps. Okay. Go to 12 to 15 reps. Just change your rep range, do the same workouts, go to 12 to 15 for 3, 4 weeks, and then stop because you're gonna work on plateauing that. So you're gonna get stronger in that. Right? You'll be able to do more reps, more weight that way. And then when you go back to the 6 to 12, you might have lost a little bit because you're probably going to have to go down a bit. But in the next 4 to 6 weeks, when you go back to that set range or rep range, hopefully by the end of that, you beat your plateau from the one before. So everyone's, oh, that's a step backwards. Well, it's not because you thought you plateaued, you went and changed your rep range, you worked on progressive overload on that, and then you went back and then you started, I don't know, let's say 5% less, and then worked your way up. So yeah, it took you that extra time, but you overloaded, you got up to where you wanted to go. And we're a little bit different where I ran long distance until grade 9, then I broke my leg and then went, screw this, I hate running. And then took on I'm gonna train like a bodybuilder,
Oh, dude, I
which
don't
was a
like running.
bad approach because I should have trained what we all should train like, and what 98% of the population should train like is you should train like an athlete. You should be doing performance-based training, making sure you have the agility, making sure you have mobility. But you know what everybody wants that you don't get with athletic performance training unless you're DK Metcalf
What's that?
is an 8 pack.
Yeah. Well, everybody has abdominals. There's just some padding on top. You got an armor plate on there, bud, and it's like you got to get rid of it. So that's where I'm like, well, let's lose some weight, right? It's like you're gonna get it, but it is interesting to have it where it is a little bit different. Where I was like, oh, I'm gonna at the beginning, I'm like, I'm gonna just mirror what Dane's doing. So obviously it's working for you. And from there, it was like, okay, I have enough knowledge to like figure out how to get this done, like how I can do it. But I think all in all, I think that Tough Mudder will be fun because I think it's just something where I feel like there's going to be different things. If we're going at the same pace and we're trying to do it together, I think it's like, okay, that's the motivation. Like having someone else there to be like, yeah, fuck it, dude, you can go. Like get across those monkey bars. Who gives a shit? Or like you try something like 2 or 3 times, and you're like, fuck, dude, I can't do this. Move on. Like it's not that big of a deal. But
100%.
like to
Yeah.
just have those like challenges to go like, oh shit, I didn't realize I could actually do this. Um, I
Yeah,
still
because I
do
remember
have to
you talking.
find,
You
yeah,
No, yeah, because you were talking like we need something. I need something. I need a goal. I need a goal. I'm like, well, you want to run a marathon? You're like, no. I'm like, neither do I. And then you're like,
no,
what about like Dane? You've done Tough Mudders. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do one again. But if we need something to do, that's what I would pick.
yeah.
So,
I,
anyways, that's how it ended up being picked. But we're I sent you the program to follow,
mhm.
right? And like start doing dead hang, start doing
Well,
that
that's the
because
specific
I'm
things
sitting
like
here
that.
going,
Yeah, that's the stuff where it's like, well, another thing too that do have to do is, and we've talked about this too, I need gloves because
yeah,
for people that know, I'm a
you're a
massage
bitch.
therapist, and my hands are so soft, like it's like a baby's hands, and like I can literally. I remember just using a hammer one day. We were re-roofing my old garage. The blisters that I had on my hands, and I put a band-aid on there and I wore gloves, and it's still there's blisters all over the place. So I'm like, all right, for grit, it's not even like the strength. The strength is definitely a
Which
big
way
part
do
of
you hold
it.
that grip?
Hmm?
As, as a massage therapist, which way is that grip? That's right. Yeah, okay, thought so.
Like that. I don't know, but but that's something where I looked it up and I saw on Reddit, like, if you're having issues with that type of stuff, they're like football, like wide receiver gloves, because you're gonna get wet.
Yeah.
But those are actually
Yeah.
designed to like all you got to do is just wipe on your shirt, boom, get up there, and like it's more about you'll have the grip, but you'll also have to use your body, right? So I went, okay, that's something
Jalen
I'll have to
Rager
look
must have never
into.
got those gloves.
I'll have them send me some. I'm gonna get some Eagles ones. You remember the ones that I gotta put my mic down, but you like put them up and you go like this, and it would like make the logo. Do you remember those? Yeah, I'll look for those. Get some Eagles gloves up in here.
Too.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be a fun time to go and do that because that's like it's in the states, Michigan. I don't even know where it is, honestly.
I think we're going to the one in Michigan. It's like an hour and a half away. I think we signed up for 10:30. I told Dana, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go do this shit. You gonna be gone all day? I'm like, we're gonna drive there at 8 a.m. We're gonna do the race and we're gonna drive home. She goes, oh, you
Done.
guys are gonna be exhausted. I'm like, I do this every single day except the running part. I try to work out. Like for me, the running part, like you said, is Bush. Go try and just go get across those monkey bars. We're gonna be at like mile 9, and I'm gonna be like, Bush,
I'll be
I'm
like,
done. You're gonna be
let's
hurry
go.
the hell up. Let's go
Let's go.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I'm like, I'm definitely doing that too. And being here, like I said to you today, I found a route that's actually kind of nice. Like if I go around the train tracks, there's a path that goes all the way down to the arena, there and back 5K. So I'm like, all right, I gotta start doing this with the weather getting
How long?
nice.
How long did it take you? Did you time yourself?
No. No. That's
Of
something
course
that
not.
you do, or I'm like, you know what? I want to just get this done. And when I get to the point where I'm like, yep, I can do this no problem and not be like, not that I was gassed when I got home, but like because I've started this again, shit in Splint City, you know, so
Yeah,
that doesn't feel great, but I know what to do and how long that lasts. Usually it's like a week, and then the second time you go, you don't even
stop running.
feel it. But um, yeah, I think it'll be a fun time. So I think we covered a broad range of topics in episode one. I don't know. Episode two, I have a lot of things we can talk about, and this was a long one, but I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like
maybe that. I think the next one, maybe talk about some NHL free agency, what we think the draft's going to be. Maybe do a draft special before the draft hits.
here's the thing, and I've said this before. For the NFL, we could do it. For the NHL, we don't know shit. Like no one knows anything.
Nobody does.
Nobody
Nobody
does.
does. They
No,
just
but
paid Morris Sider, most overpaid guy in the league. What was he? The eighth overall pick?
sixth.
Six. Yeah,
He
it's
was a
even
sixth
worse.
overall pick, man. He's right here,
Hold on.
man. He's
Who was
on my
drafted out?
thing.
Who was the seventh? Out of curiosity, do you know who the seventh was?
No, because you're just gonna say he's better, okay? And they're probably not. Are you gonna look it up? Because I feel like you should look it up. After
What
Moritz
draft?
Seider,
What year was
seventh
it?
over.
What draft was it? What draft was it?
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
yeah. And what draft? What year draft?
2020?
What year?
No, 2019.
Was it
2019, I think. I want to say,
look
yeah,
that
sixth
up?
overall in
2019.
2019.
Team NHL. I gotta put NHL because if you don't, every other draft shows up with that one.
It's probably like Dylan
Dylan
Cousins.
Cousins draft? Yeah,
Maybe.
that's exactly who it was.
Was it? Yeah, I'm a genius. I know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Intellectual
Zegers was
nonsense.
ninth. Yeah. Zegers was ninth. He's about the only, as I'm scrolling here, Spencer Knight. I know that one.
Okay,
Todd
Sider was
Poplar was like
supposed to go
15.
like 26th overall. That was in all the mock drafts.
Yeah, I remember. Now that you say that, I remember that because we were together that night. And I went, "Who the heck is this guy?" And you went, "Oh no, he's a great tall
No, I
defenseman out of
didn't.
somewhere."
I did the same
Yes,
thing.
you
I went,
did.
who? No, we were together for the Zadina draft.
Is that what it was?
I was your old house. We were watching that because
Okay.
I remember the girls were telling us to turn it down. We're like, we're watching the draft. I go, fucking go away. Because I remember they got Zadina. He
That
was
was the
supposed to go
Jack
top
Hughes
3,
draft.
and he went down to 6, and they picked him, and I was like all excited. And the guy it turned out to be like the biggest bust in Red Wings history, or one of the top 2 or 3. Yeah. So
Hey,
yeah,
I
we
mean,
have
they
a
could. At least they didn't take Alex Turcotte.
no. Of course, that guy sucks. But I said we
He's
have
a
a lot
goalie.
of
Yeah.
topics that we can talk about. I think we went like pretty long with this one, but yeah, you live, you learn. We had some fun, but let's say for my professional podcast partner Zinger over here, uh, I feel like what do we even have? We've got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Am I forgetting something? Probably like throw it
I
on
think we have X.
Spotify,
I think we
something
have
like
X.
that. We have
We
X.
got to do X now. Now I'm an X user. I'm an X user.
Oh, you
Yeah.
love X. I
X
love
X is
X.
the best.
Yeah.
I
So
just started using X literally a week ago for everyone that cares.
yeah. So until we talk again, keep your stick on the ice.